Today, we're going to be looking at the Jolyan Silvera murder case, the justice system, but from an entirely different angle. It contains systemic problems papered over by what I call the big lie. The big lie. What is it and where did it begin? I would say that the big lie began with propaganda. And you may ask, what is propaganda? Let me define it for you according to them. Propaganda is information that is intentionally created and spread to influence people's opinions, beliefs, or actions, usually in favor of a particular group, government, ideology, or cause. Let me pause here and welcome everyone to Jamaica 411. I am your host, Michelle Stern. I'm going to ask everyone to do me a favor, a big favor today. We need this big lie and this video to go to the following persons. If you know correctional officer, if you know the commissioner of corrections, send him this video and ask them to play this video for their inmates. And for those persons in the communities, you have your sound system and you play music, pause the music, please, and play this video so that everyone in earshot can hear it. It is not without controversy and commentary that may shock your very senses. I hope that they will listen to it and determine whether what is being said here is the truth. So I'm asking you, please, to have this video sent to the persons mentioned and to anybody else that you think need to hear it. And of course, thank you. Propaganda, therefore, is first of all information, something that was told to you. And it was intentionally created. It's not a natural flow of information. It was intentionally created for a purpose. Having created a propaganda, the next step is to spread it and to spread it to those persons that they've determined to be the target of the propaganda. And what is the purpose? To influence your opinions. To influence a person's opinions is to change the way in which they were looking at something, or if they never looked at it before, to ensure that you see what they want you to see in a particular way. And they want you to be able to repeat what it is they want you to say. They want you to also believe it, because by making you believe the propaganda, the piece of information they send to you, that is how you're now going to keep repeating it. And of course, the most important thing is to influence your behavior. So how do these propagandists work? The first thing that they do is to identify weaknesses in the target group and then use manipulated information to gain an advantage over them. In other words, what I'm talking about here with propaganda, it's an indoctrination, programming, and control by other people. Oftentimes, we believe that certain ideas came from out of our own minds and we reason them out. But the fact is that the foundation of our reasoning is controlled by other people who tell us how we must think and feel and believe about something and other people. And that is propaganda at work. The key point in propaganda is that it is never, ever neutral. It is designed to persuade rather than simply to give you information. So they give you an information as a catch, but they want to persuade you to believe something that they want you to believe that may not necessarily be true. So simply put, propaganda is information used to shape people's thinking, your behavior towards a specific agenda. In other words, the propaganda that was created by somebody else, claiming it will advance your own interest. That is usually for their benefit, never yours. What is a common feature for propaganda? These are the 5 elements that must exist for a piece of information to be propaganda. The first thing is that it must be selective information. So the information that they're giving you only show facts that support the message that they want you to receive and they want you to act upon, right? Second thing is that the propaganda, the piece of information, has an emotional appeal. They have to appeal to your emotion. That is now how they're going to control your mind. And they use fear, pride, anger, or hope to influence your behavior, the things that you do, the things that you think, and the things that you say. Now, when I saw this reference here as part of propaganda, the emotional appeal, using fear and hope, you know the first thing for my mind run upon? Yes, religion. Is it that these people are saying that using fear and hope in order to influence people's behavior, because that's what religion's supposed to do, influence your behavior? Is this part of propaganda? And we are going to be looking to see and examine whether Europe used their religion as a means of propaganda to gain control of our minds as a people in order to gain an advantage over us. And man, did they gain an advantage? And if we find that this was what them use a religion for, not to save the soul, not now, toe go and mash, and the finger go and mash, but remember, don't cry. And as we get into this idea that religion may have been used by the white man as a propaganda tool to control the mind, I would like very much for you to put your opinion in the comment section. Let me know what you think and feel about it, if you agree or you disagree. And if you disagree, tell me why. You agree to that? Yes? Great. So let us now continue. In order for the propaganda to stick, repetition is important. Repeating the same message over and over and over again is how now they indoctrinate you, right? They program you to ensure that this now is the principle and the philosophy that you are now living your life by, thinking, speaking, and acting accordingly. Always believing that this was your idea in the first place. Next, there has to be bias. What's the point of a propaganda if it is not intended to make you look at things in a way that benefits them, presenting one side while ignoring others? So, in your school, in your church, and in all the information that you get from science, it is all propaganda. Or in any event, it was their intention, the propagandists, to use these tools as a means to gain control over our minds in order to give themselves an advantage. What kind of advantage? To reinforce in our minds their notions of their own superiority over us. And they wanted us to believe it too. And to the extent that some of us believe it, they now have power and control over them. No. Conveniently, when I ask ChatGPT, in what way is religion propaganda? Since it was they who put in their response that propaganda involves fear, hope, and anger, I decide to ask them the question: is religion part of what we're talking about as propaganda? They ignored that question and answered something that I did not ask. They said that religion is seen by many as sacred. I did not ask that question. How people see religion clearly is a part of the propaganda. It has to be based upon what the interpretation of propaganda is. And remember, when it came to us, the Bible was used as a tool by the planters on the plantations to control the slaves in order for them to continue to work for Massa, make money for Massa, and not rebel against Massa, The religion was used as a tool of control. Remember, one of the tools of propaganda is selecting information and leaving out others, and that's exactly what they did. They were not teaching the slaves to save them soul. They were teaching them what they needed them to know in order to make them docile and compliant for their own benefits. And these are all the ingredients of propaganda. But you say that was then. That's not now. And yet, these same propagandists are using the Bible as a tool to continue to manipulate and control you, this time around by remote control. Why do I say so? You believe that the religion is sacred. Why do you believe that? Because somebody told you so. You believe that the book that the religion is based on is a book that was inspired by God. Why do you believe so? Because somebody told you it is so. And then when you read the book itself, you believe that everything in that book is true. Why? Because it was somebody that told you that that is the way you must look at it. And you believe that all these ideas came out of your head. It was somebody else who told you that this is how you should believe. And had you been born in another culture where they told you other things about the Bible, that it is not real, for example, it's not real, this is not real, God is not real, that is what you would have believed because somebody else told you that that is how you should believe. Propaganda. So you decide that you're not going to believe in religions anymore, you're going to go to science. Science is another big piece of propaganda, and it is the flip side of religion. And who it is that is controlling the science and the narrative of science? Yes, the white man. And their objectives remained the same. It is indeed intended to reinforce religious idea no matter what it is that they tell you. At the end of the day, what it is that they tell you in science, that science began with the Greeks. That is the message that they want to impart with you, irrespective of what else they tell you. History and their control of the narrative of history is their biggest tool ever. It is what they use to tie everything together in this big lie. They use history to big up themselves and to demonize other people. And we and our ancestors were their main target. Mind control through the use of propaganda. Their science is based on the foundation of an idea called an atom. An atom is the smallest particle, and they tell you all kind of something about electron and proton and this a move and that they move and all kind of something, not no so. There is no such thing, and there can be no such thing existing called an atom, because a particle, for it to exist, it has to be, and it is made up of something else, and each one of those something else is made up of something else, and on and on and on it goes like that forever. There is no tiniest anything. And so they make up these things and you believe it. For those of you who recognize that science is and religion is more or less the same thing, you run now and you look at Kemet, that place where we had the pyramids. And you say, aha, this is where truth is, without recognizing that it is the very same people that give you the propaganda is the one that is controlling that information as well. And so, in essence, they're telling you what it is they want you to believe. And part of it is that they are using what they claim is knowledge of the interpretation of the language that they claim is secret, which is no secret. And they interpret it in such a way to validate them Bible, which now cause you to go around talking about Christianity was found in Africa and start to believe in it again. You come full circle. Propaganda. From the day you're born, therefore, and them start you in this religion, and you go through the school, there again is where the biggest propaganda is. Because every subject that you learn, they are telling you that it is the Greeks who were the father of this, that, and the other. They are giving you information that they want you to believe in, and they are ignoring others. The Greeks did not originate the ideas. It came from somewhere else, from Fui people. They don't teach you that in school. And if you know and you put that on the paper that is not the Greeks, they're going to fail you. The schools they left behind, the structure of the schools that they left behind, and the information is intended to reinforce their propaganda in you from your 3 years old coming up. And it's only when somebody else bring the facts to your attention, that is when you find out for the first time that all they were teaching you in school was all a lie. They had presented to you only those information that support their message and ignore the information that is important to you. Bias. And then they have to add a symbol or a slogan, the catch, the trigger, the overarching principle that triggers the propaganda that now makes you believe, think, and repeat and act according to what they intended you to do. And then you start to behave, you start to think, and you start to speak according to the programming. You are then indoctrinated by this propaganda. You're programmed and you're controlled. Because of this control that we are under by the Europeans, we want to be like them. We want to look like them, so we do it here. We dress like them. We think like them. We act like them. And we want to be where they are. We don't want to go to the continent. We don't want to hear about the continent. We don't want even to hear that we are part of that continent, what am I call Africa? No, we don't like ourselves. We hate our ancestors because we believe that they were worthless and never accomplished anything. Not true, not true at all. When the real fact is that it is their ancestors that were worthless, and all them did was to walk all over the world and thief other people's idea and make themselves what they are. And even today, them doing the same thing. Almost everything that they have today was created by our people. Bias. Presenting you with information that suits their agenda and leave out information that is important to you. So nothing that you create is ever good. Everything that they create is good. Propaganda. You don't believe that you can accomplish anything, so you don't try to because of the propaganda. And that is what we are, a controlled, manipulated people who think that we are not under any control and not being manipulated by anybody. We all think that every idea we have in our mind is from our own thinking. Bias. Let us now talk about the deadliest, most dangerous propaganda of them all, which has destroyed us as a people and as a society. What is that propaganda? The alleged justice system. Under European jurisprudence, the overarching principle of justice, they say, is fairness. How do they determine fairness? It is determined by how they define fairness. It says, the overarching principle of justice is fairness, which involves the consistent, impartial, and equitable treatment of individuals. It is fundamentally rooted in the idea of rendering to each person what they are due. And there is a critical word that is missing from this overarching principle of justice. And do you know what that is? Truth. A simple word called truth. That is missing. So, what it is that they consider justice, what it is that must happen for them to say that you received justice. They're talking about the procedures that were followed, the judgment of the court, as well as the sentencing. That fairness, according to them, is impartial. So there must be impartiality in how it is that the process, the procedure, the judgment, and the sentencing is pronounced and carried out. And it is for, according to them, to enable equal treatment of individuals. Now we know that that is not possible. We know that equality is not possible in this justice system, which is a product of the European mind. Why? Because no matter how the system attempts to treat people equitably, money is what plays a major factor. If you're accused of certain crimes and you have money, you can hire experts to come and contradict the evidence that is put forward against you. Money plays an important role, and if you have it, you get your justice, and if you don't have it, you have a slim chance of getting the justice that you deserve. And so a poor, innocent man could be railroaded into prison. But not only that, the system, which is supposed to be based upon truth, but in fact, what goes on in the courthouse is that everybody come to tell the biggest lie, and it is who is able to convince the jury and the judge that them get the justice. The system is a flawed system at its very core. But this, of course, is my opinion. What are yours? So fairness, if it is going to depend on equitable treatment of individuals, cannot be had in the justice system that we operate and that is in operation all over the world. Generally because the Europeans dominated and they left the thing in place and everybody decided to carry it on. So that is what their justice system is predicated on. The long and short of what I just explained to you is that there is no way, indeed, it's impossible for you or anybody to get what is known as justice out of this justice system because it is not predicated first and foremost on truth. And even in circumstances where truth exists, by however means, it still cannot give you justice because there is a component of this so-called justice system that involves punishment. And if I have not yet freaked you out, and now I'm going to freak you out with what it is I'm about to say, I am now going to explain to you why you could never, ever, ever get justice from this alleged justice system that is predicated on fairness. And that is because the first principle involved in fairness is consistency. And you can be doing the wrong thing consistently every time, all the time. And once that is so, then everything else goes out the window. There is no impartiality and no equitable treatment of anybody. And if we want evidence, all we have to do is look at that fiasco that went on in the gun court in the Jolyan Silvera murder case. Truth has to be the overarching principle under which every other principle falls. So the overarching principle of a justice system must be predicated on truth. The idea that truth must be the overarching principle under which everything else falls is not a new idea. I didn't make it up. I didn't create it. It preceded me from another culture on the continent that we come from. That culture is the best culture in order to understand what it is that we are experiencing now that is in essence injustice, not justice. That land is in the northeast of what they call Africa, a land where some of our pyramids are, and they were, like us, a highly materialistic society. Having said that, let me now begin. In Kemet, those individuals, our ancestors, they came up with what they called the principles of Mahat. Mahat is represented by an ostrich feather they call the feather of truth. I won't get into that now, but that is what Mahat is. It is also a representation of a human being, and every single human being that is represented in that society that you see on those walls were living human beings. We don't deal in fantasies of this life. We may deal in fantasies of what we may think may happen after we die, but not in this life. So those were real people. And they personify what it is that they are trying to communicate to their subsequent generations. The principle of Mahat has 7 components, each component of which is a principle within itself. And this was how they lived their lives based upon these 7 principles. Under these 7 principles, we have what is called the 42 admonitions of Mahat. We're not going to be dealing with that today. But let me hasten to add that for a society to exist for tens of thousands of years, they must have been doing something right. There is no European society that was able to achieve anything close to what they were able to achieve. They were doing something right, and it has something to do with these principles and laws that they created and developed in order to ensure their longevity, and they were successful in doing so. Yes. And this was how they did it. The first on the list is truth. I have reorganized the way in which the Europeans put it out, right? They have it in the order of truth. Justice is their second principle, and they go on until they come to something they call propriety, which just does not sound right to me. Once we understand that truth is the overarching principle by which we all should live our lives, the next thing we're looking at now is harmony. How is it that harmony relates to truth? Harmony is about how we relate to everything in nature and how we relate to one another in our experience. It is about peace and tranquility of the human mind, which in turn leads to peace and tranquility in our societies. And that in order to achieve that peace and tranquility of the mind, there is an absence of chaos, disturbances, fear, destruction, and harm. Now you're going to have to meditate on that to understand what it is I'm saying. No, you must be wondering, where is this going? It's going someplace. Trust me. Patient. Just be patient. Now, in order to maintain harmony, peace of mind, balance is what is required to sustain that harmony. And balance relates to human conduct and perception. If there is a need for protecting the society from external harm by other people or from nature, we have to apply a principle of balance. And balance is required to maintain the harmony between ourselves and everything else. There is also the principle of reciprocity, and how it is practiced on the continent is that you must only take from nature what is necessary for your existence or whatever else you want it for. And we are materialistic, so we want other things from nature for our own material happiness. The principle is that whatever it is that you take out of nature, you must replace it with something of equivalent value. You chop down a tree, plant another one, right? What follows reciprocity now is order. You have harmony, it's maintained by balance. Reciprocity is what creates that balance. And order now, you obtain the order by how well we practice the 4 previous principles. And when we fail to practice those 4 other principles, justice now is required to restore the balance. And that is where we were heading from the start. Restoration of balance. Now, righteousness is the final one. And righteousness is about us. And it's about us living right. And we have to live right based upon these 6 principles that went before. We must be truthful in whatever it is that we do. Even when we do something that is not right, do not be afraid, no matter what. You have to let others know you did it. You have to tell the truth about what it was that you did, the truth and nothing but the truth. And you must not be afraid. Fear disturbs the harmony. right? Good. Your responsibility as a person is to ensure that everyone around you experiences harmony, peace, and tranquility of the mind. That's your responsibility as a human being. All of us, we have to maintain the balance. We have to maintain a principle of reciprocity. Whatever it is that we take from nature, we must ensure that we replace it with something of equivalent value. Don't just take. That is the principle of the Europeans. And you see what is happening on the continent. Now that our people have changed from these principles and gone take up white man something, you see what is happening with the Sahara Desert. It is spreading because of the abuse. All of this is going to relate to the natural order of things, which is absent of chaos. But when you step away from what is a natural order by doing something that is wrong, we won't use the word crime, wrong, that is when now we need justice to restore the balance in order to put people back in that peace and quiet tranquility. That is what we have a responsibility to ensure of everyone. So what happens when wrong is done? As in the case of the death of Melissa Silvera. Whenever we do a wrong or whenever a wrong is done by even one of us, it disturbs the harmony in the society. It disturbs the peace of mind of every single person in the society that know about it. And even if you don't know about it, you are affected because of the other persons whose peace of mind was disturbed. That now affects the balance of everything else. That disturbance will not go away by itself. It has thrown everything out of harmony, out of balance, and that balance must be restored. Now, if we start to look at life in this way, as a matter of balance, harmony, and whenever something goes wrong or somebody does something wrong, we suddenly start to look at the idea of justice in an entirely different way. We may well find that we are on to something special. To restore the balance requires action on our part. For this, we need order, or everything will descend into chaos. You can't have everybody deciding, okay, so this is how we're going to proceed in order to restoring the balance. It's going to lead to chaos. So we have systems elsewhere that they put in place. And they have it basically where the elders, those with the most experience, sit down talking to everybody else of every age group, not just old people like themselves. And together they work out how it is we can restore the balance when something like murder, the deliberate killing of another human being, occurs. What happens if it's accidental? What happens if somebody steals? What happens if people quarrel? All sorts of things they had to deal with, and everybody in the society is involved. Not just some people you vote and put in parliament and them sit down inside here, come up with their own ideas, and then we create chaos, because that is what we live in right now. Chaos. Restoring the balance requires a big question. How is it to be restored? In the case of Melissa Silvera, the wrong done was that she was killed at the hand of her husband. We all believe it was deliberate. Never mind the fact that they would be quarreling and him drawing gun and things happen and him shoot her. Now, why I said that the European approach cannot be justice is the fact that it does not restore the balance. It does not put us back in the harmonious position we were in. What it has done is created chaos. The death of Melissa is a negative action, and punishment is also a negative action. And no, two negatives do not make a right. Right? What it has done is created more disturbance in our minds. And therefore, the approach is never the right one in the first place. And that is the reason why, no matter what they do in this alleged justice system, we can never get justice from it. So the question you're asking me now, well, how then should we approach it? How do we restore the balance? Because I know deep down you know that I am right, that is how we must look at justice and whatever it is that went wrong, how we must make it right. How then do we go about it? Among the Ashanti people, the Ashanti tribe, they recognize the responsibility that they have to restore the balance after something like this occurred. And they have certain rules. They first must determine whether the death was purposeful or accidental. If it is purposeful, the maximum sentence is death, but they don't carry that out. Why? Because they recognize that that itself is going to add to the disturbance. No matter how much you think that an eye for an eye or how you justify, it's going to add to the disturbance. So they come up with other things. One of them being banishing the person. They have to go. In some tribes, I understand, it's not just the person who commit the crime, but the entire family has to go. And part of the reason for that is that as long as that person remains in that tribe, there is fear among the people. And therefore, there can be no restoration of that balance with that fear. So you send them out. You have, in essence, removed the fear. They're gone out of the society, they're gone. The family is left. And still, there is an issue that is going to continue for a while. It's going to be difficult to restore that balance. And so when people do wrong, it's problematic. In other tribes, they chase everybody out because nobody's going to marry into that family. They don't want any bad behavior like that and others running through them bloodline, through them descendants, into them future lives. So they don't marry into families like that unless they are cleansed. I am of the personal view that simply banishing a person who deliberately kills somebody else, even under circumstances where they said words were used to provoke them, then they draw a weapon like a gun when they know that the gun was designed to do nothing else more than kill. He chose to draw a weapon, a killing equipment, and shoot the woman. And then going to talk about you were provoked, you weren't thinking straight, and then believe now that somehow you must be reintegrated into society with a temper like that? Oh no. I am of the view that the way in which we were doing it on the continent was not a good idea, because by banishing that person, and even with them and them family, they're gone to form another tribe with that dirty, wicked streak running through them bloodline. I am of the view that you can keep the family if you want, cleanse them of the bad behavior, and that person must be taken far away from the tribe. Nobody in the tribe must know what happened to them. They are banished. The warriors take them far away, do away with them, burn the body to ashes, scatter it to the four winds. For me, it frees you up, free up your mind totally, because there's nothing there. I am of the view that anybody who did what Jolyan Silvera has done and any other bad behavior, they should not be buried in the earth. They must be cremated, burn the body. If them thief, them rape, them kidnap, any kind of bad behavior, any wrong that they have done to any person, do not bury them into a soil. Burn the body to ashes and destroy everything about them. And that, in my view, will assist in restoring the balance. If I am correct that the burning of the body has the effect that I think it has on all of us, if it does, then take my advice and burn the body. When we look now at the case of Melissa Silvera, the overarching principle of fairness comes with what they call punishment. You must follow a procedure. As long as that procedure is followed, according to them, justice was served. And then now you pronounce a sentence. That sentence has nothing whatsoever to do with you and me. It has everything to do with the accused before them. It is a criminal justice system in every sense of the word. It's about the justice for the criminal, not justice for the victim. It is a Lego justice system, and it is about injustice. Propaganda, therefore, is what they seek to use in order to make you believe that somehow what it is that is going on in that courthouse is in your best interest. It is not in your interest, and not in therefore in the interest of the society in general. And it is the system, because it is a chaotic system, that is encouraging these bad behavior. That fiasco that went on in the court in the Jolyan Silvera murder case is precisely the reason why many of our people will not go to Justice Sykes if they had the same kind of problem that the family of Melissa Silvera has. No, you will say, go to the judge. They're not going to no judge because they do not expect any justice. So they take matters into their own hands and dispense their own ideas of what justice they believe is required. How do we fix it? This alleged justice system not going to do it for us. We have to find another way. And perhaps the first thing that we should do in finding that new way is that all of us, including those persons who feel that the system is not right or should change, or they're rebelling against it and they don't even know why, you have to accept what your responsibilities are in the society to each other without even thinking of what the system is. You understand your role in the society, and if there is a wrong done, seek how you can restore the balance. Think about it in that way. How can you fix it? And then when you come together and decide how it can be fixed, then now you go to the family of the perpetrator. Talk to the mother and father, the auntie, the uncle, the cousin, and the friend, and work it out and let them deal with the individual. Whatever it is that the alleged justice system says, you have to deal with it in that way. And therefore, in your small circle, you would have succeeded in fixing the problem. You would have restored the balance. And then we will achieve what it is that we want to achieve, which is real justice. What happened in the court with Justice Sykes, whom we are going to refer to from now on as Injustice Sykes, although he may complain that that is not fair to him because he's doing a job, he did not put the system in place. He's just doing a job the best way in which the system direct him to do. But he's a symbol of the injustice. And so I think Justice Sykes, I think we may be well within our right to call you Injustice Sykes, being that you are a symbol of the system. So what I'm saying to you is this, that there was never ever going to be justice for Melissa. We were never ever going to be happy with whatever judgment. But of course, we could be extremely unhappy about the sentence, even though no sentence could restore our peace of mind. What Justice Sykes did with his sentence, and I'm sure he doesn't care, he has added to the chaos. And we can expect misbehavior from our people, but I'm going to ask you, especially those of you who feel rebellious and you don't even know why. It's because it's one of your ancestors that had to deal with the same stupid system. And for those of you out there who feel miserable because you have set yourself a goal and you're not accomplishing it, you have a duty to yourself, first of all, to make sure that you are in the right frame of mind to complement the harmony in the society around you and not add to the chaos. It's all about your happiness, and your happiness is your responsibility. Make yourself happy. Do good. You'll be surprised to know. And if you don't believe me, even you in a prison, you do something good. Just try it. And I know the men will try it, and the woman, I'm stubborn, but then we try it. Just try it. Do something good when you feel miserable, you feel vexed, and you just see an opportunity to do something good with somebody and see how well you feel. Even if them not tell you thanks, you feel good. And that is how you create your own happiness. And when you're happy, other people around you will feel happy too, even the miserable one them. And if all of us were to do that, we would live in a society where there is no need for anybody to be murdering anybody. Yes, accident will occur, but certainly people will get it into them head that they must take some step that they ought not to and disturb with peace, because that is the only way we can prevent this kind of behavior, and everything is dependent upon all of us. When we have the little pitney them and we see that they're rebellious, you understand now where it's coming from. It is not coming from the continent, it is coming from the slave plantation. You need to understand what you're seeing, and now you know you guide the little boy them nicely. Teach them to do good to others, and then we start to feel good within themselves. The next thing we have to do, all of us, is to make a determination as to what system we're going to have over our head. Whether we're going to continue with the idea of electing people who sit in the parliament for them to decide what it is that them think should be the rules. We have nothing to say, and them sit down in there and make all kind of mistake that cause all kind of chaos, or should I say, add to the chaos in the society. We have to determine whether this alleged justice system must continue. We have to determine that. And for that, we have to form with groups, talk amongst ourselves, and make sure say have some old people in there, Yes, you have to include the older people, and you have to take the young people them too, because they're new and then come with fresh ideas and old experience, all of us. And to me, what we should learn from this very bad experience is to find ways to solve the problem. Solution is a positive experience, and it is part of the happiness, the sense of happiness that governs our entire existence. I don't know if this message is for anybody in particular. I hope I can get everybody in this society who hear this message to understand what I believe is the way we should go forward. Do not dwell on bad things. Find solutions, and then put those solutions in place, such as they are. What do you say to that? We agree? Yes. All right, folks, so that's it for me today. I want to thank everyone who joined me. Please remember to share the video and give the video a thumbs up. Until next time, take very good care of yourselves and walk good.